Greetings, fellow humans. I'm Joey Pigtails, and welcome to my poker vlog. This is episode number 1. Wait, what? A poker vlog? Didn't we try that once before? Sure. It's going to be different this time. Now we're playing the great game, Pot Limit Omaha, and we get to show off the insanity. Wait, Pot Limit Omaha? The great game? When did we start playing that? Yeah, Pot Limit Omaha. It's been a couple of years now. Wait a minute. We? Who are you? I'm you, nerd, from like 3 years ago when we tried this the first time. Oh yeah, a lot has changed since then. Yeah, you're looking good, baby. Thanks, man. I feel good too. So, why PLO and why now? Well, there's only a couple other humans vlogging PLO content right now. And besides, people deserve to see the insanity I experience almost daily. Deserve? Who are you trying to convince? So in episode number 1, I'm going to be going over 4 hands from a session I played at Orange City Racing and Card Club on Friday, December 30th. But we'll first start off with a hand I didn't play, but witnessed right off the bat. Wait, only 4 hands? Why not all of them? Well, as with all projects, it's a learning process, and I learned I need to keep better notes and adjust my camera angle. Ah, I see. Well, I'm sure episode 2 will go a bit smoother. You know it. So let's do it. So the very first hand we see at this 1-2 PLO 500 cap game is absolutely insane. I wasn't actually involved in it, but 4 of these guys ended up going all in pre-flop. So this game doesn't actually allow people to run it twice, so we're only going to end up seeing one board with these 4 guys all in. 3 of them had bought in originally for $200, and one of them covered, bought in for $500, so the pot's going to end up being $800 total. Before the board is run out, a couple of the players roll over their hands, and surprisingly, they both have pocket aces. They each have a suit as well, so they're going to be needing some help here since they both have aces. It's just not a good situation for them. The board is run out, and we get a little drama as one player announces boat, but he actually only has 2 pair. And the initial opener, blind raised and blind called the all-in, is now rolling his cards over one at a time to see if he got lucky. He didn't, though. The player in seat 3 is going to scoop this pot, and the other players are going to end up rebuying. Kind of sad to see, all in first hand, pocket aces, and end up losing. But, it happens sometimes. This is PLO. Anyway, let's go ahead and listen to the rest of this commentary because it's actually quite hilarious. She's got aces. I love it. Perfect. Ace, ace. Oh, he's got aces too. Yes.
He's so happy. He's
got diamonds and you got clubs. Is that right?
Yeah. 100% they don't.
Well, the diamonds or clubs.
And hearts come, right?
Heart.
All right. Looks like we got one pair.
I'm just kidding, but I got a new hand.
Yeah, that's a yeah.
No hearts.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
And the game is live.
That's funny as hell.
Hey, there we go. I knew the ace was strong.
So in the first big hand that I end up playing, I'm on the button, and I look down at ace of clubs, king of clubs, 5 of diamonds, 5 of hearts. There's this one limp to me, and I end up opening to $20. This hand is sort of marginal, but it does fit our raise first in range from the button, so it's good that we have a suited ace. But it's not exactly ideal to have that ace suited to the king, but it is still a playable hand. The small blind calls, and as he does, he only has $23 behind after he makes the call of 20, and he asks if raising would get me to fold, and no, definitely not. Definitely not. So the big blind also calls 20, and the hijack calls 20 as well. We're 4 ways to the flop, and the flop comes ace of hearts, jack of hearts. I expect any made hands or super combo draws to lead out here, so when it checks to me, I go ahead and c-bet $80. The small blind ends up all in for his last $23, and the big blind calls sort of quickly, and the hijack ends up folding. Our villain in the big blind is the action whale in the game from the 4-way all-in earlier that had everybody covered, and He can literally have anything here, although based upon the way he's playing his hand sort of passive, I end up weighing him more towards something like a naked heart draw is what it really seems like. Otherwise, I'd expect to see more aggression out of him here. With $260 in the pot, the turn is the 9 of diamonds. Front door hearts misses here, but the 9 isn't exactly a blank as it can bring in 2-pair combos with those hearts and also bring in backdoor straight draws or create combo draws. I still only have a single pair of aces here, and given our opponent isn't trying to blow us off the hand, I'm going to give that a try myself, so I bet $260 the size of the pot. Our opponent doesn't really seem to like it, and he asks if this is going to end up on the vlog, which, of course, I confirm definitely it's going to be on the vlog. So he does eventually slide out a call, leaving me with $71 behind, him covering, and exactly 1 card to come. Thankfully, the river is the blankiest of blanks with the 6 of clubs, and I take my tiny fold equity when he checks to me and jam for a massive pile of $71. My opponent folds. I announce 1 pair of aces since I have to show for the side or for the main pot, and the small blind says 1 pair good and folds. So I end up scooping a $780 pot total between the side and the main. And the big blind also confirmed that a pair of aces was good, and he was in fact on a naked heart draw. The next hand occurs on the main game as my stay on the must-move table didn't last long. I was first on the list and a seat opened up, so I moved my setup over to the main game. In this hand, there's a button straddle to $5. The small blind limps for 5, the big blind folds, and I open at $25 with ace of diamonds, king of clubs, queen of diamonds, and 9 of clubs from under the gun +1. This hand is absolutely beautiful and ranks near the top of our raise first in range, which from now on I'm going to refer to as the RFI range. The dynamics of this hand being highly coordinated, double suited, and containing a nut suit is huge in this game. Middle position 1 ends up calling the raise. The hijack also calls, and the small blind calls as well. With $102 in the pot, we're four-handed going to a flop of Queen of Hearts, 9 of Diamonds, 3 of Hearts. So I end up flopping top 2 pair here on a somewhat wet board in a multi-weight pot, multi-weight being key here. The dynamic of this game is such that if any of these guys have flopped anything big, such as combo draws, heart draws, a set, they're usually going to lead here instead of checking and flow, which is obviously a little bit different from Hold'em, where people typically check and flow. So it ends up checking around to me, which is a pretty clear sign that no one really has anything. So I have a clear continuation bet with top 2 pair. The types of hands that we do expect to get resistance from if we place a bet here are going to include basically naked high-end flush draws, as well as a variety of wrap type hands that don't have hearts, such as Jack 10 8x or King Jack 10x type hands. So I end up betting pot for a 105, and really surprised, it actually ends up folding around, and I take it down. Nearly an orbit later, there's limp from under the gun, and we are under the gun +1, and see King of Spades, Queen of Spades, Jack of Clubs, 10 of Clubs. This is an absolute monster of a hand and ranks really high in our RFI range from any position, so I go ahead and pot it to $25. MP1 calls, the button calls, and the small blind calls. So there is $102 in the pot, and we end up seeing a flop of 9 of clubs, 8 of spades, 2 of hearts. It took a minute for the awesomeness of this flop to hit me. At first I was dismayed to see a bunch of non-pain cards, but then I realized just how much of a monster I flopped. This is one of the best wraps we can have, as we have 13 outs to the nuts on a rainbow board, which is any 7, 10, jack, or queen, with 2 backdoor flush draws as well. I'm hoping to get it in on this flop, and being that the few hands I've played at this table I've c-bet and taken down, I'm hoping to finally get some resistance. The small blind checks to me, and I go ahead and pot it for 105. It folds back around to the small blind, who looks like he's going to finally give me some action, but he eventually folds as well. Considering that I've been taking pots down with C-bets and not showing anything lately, I go ahead and show that I flopped a monster wrap and then I'm sticking money in the pot with a lot of equity, which will be very important for the next hand. The last hand I'll go over is pretty interesting, and you'll also notice from the footage that I've now adjusted the camera angle and the shot looks much, much better. I'm definitely going to be doing it like this in the future, so we'll get better shots of the flops and the action and everything that goes down. So in this hand, we end up seeing a limp from middle position 1, who's a reg here in Orange City. The hijack also limps, the cutoff limps, and I go ahead and raise to $25 in the button with Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, 9 of Spades, 7 of Spades. This is sort of a marginal hand and near the bottom of our RFI range, but given the setup of the hand with the remaining players being relatively passive, me on the button in position, and the hand being relatively connected with a high pair and a suit, as well as middling cards, I won't go ahead and open at $25 to get a pot going. The blinds fold. Our reg calls from middle position 1. The hijack also calls, but the cutoff folds, which I'm sort of puzzled by after he had limped. He's getting a great price, only $20 more a call, so I expected him to come along. With $83 in the pot, we see a flop of Ace of Spades, 6 of Spades, 5 of Clubs. Both players check to me, and this is a clear bet for a few reasons. Since I was the aggressor pre-flop and we didn't see a back raise pre-flop, I'm the only person with ace-ace in their range. As for actual equity, I have a set draw with jacks, a gutter to the nuts straight, and a flush draw, so I should be able to bet this flop and take it down the majority of the time. If I don't win it here, I have a lot of equity to improve or can possibly barrel the turn or the river. I bet $50 into 83, which gets one call from MP1, which is our reg. At first I thought I caught gin on the turn as it looked like an 8, but it ended up being a 9 of clubs. Our villain, who has about $350 behind, checks it over. His flop call is indicative of a draw, but I'm heavily blocking both the flush draws and the straight draws, so it's possible our villain is coming along with 2 pair or a king of spades blocker type hand is looking to see what we do on the turn. So with that 9 of clubs, I've now picked up additional outs versus a 2-pair type hand, but I get the impression I'm behind at this specific moment. Mustering up the power of my table image, I go ahead and fire pot for $180, hoping it looks like I have ace-ace and I'm trying to charge draws.
Oh my god, that table's so fucking gorgeous. Oh. I'm about to get up and fucking get on the list.
As you can see, our villain counts out chips for a call and makes me sweat pretty hard before folding. But he does end up folding, and I take this one down. And there we have it. Thank you all for tuning in to my poker vlog. As I master these video editing skills, I'll look to publish more content at a pretty quick pace. If you have any comments or questions for me, feel free to post them here on YouTube. Also, if you have any experience with Adobe Illustrator and Character Animator and are up for designing a couple of new logos and characters for me, please send me a DM either through YouTube or you can actually @ me on Twitter at Joey Pigtails with some examples of your work and your rates, and we can discuss it from there. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll be recording again this Monday at Orange City Racing and Card Club for the Big Ass High Hand promotion, which is $5,000 every 4 hours from noon to midnight on top of their normal high hand promotion. So look for some cool hands in vlog number 2 from that session sometime in the next couple of weeks. I'm also taking a short trip to Vegas with my boys on the 25th of February, so if you happen to be out there and recognize me or my wristbands, say hello. So until then, be a good human.